let's hear this. How did this bit come about, joining Fleetwood Mac? I know that, as John McVie said, they live now in the LA area, and that's where you two have been hanging out. Although Stevie's parents are now in Arizona.
Yes,
Always
they are.
been there, right? How exactly did it come about? How did you bump into this infamous group?
Well,
You want to tell them?
yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
They were looking for a studio in which, this was like the end of December. They were, the last week in December, Mick and John were out looking for studios, and someone recommended this place where we had recorded the Buckingham Nicks album. So they were out there checking it out. They ended up talking to Keith Olsen, who had engineered our album, and, you know, because he had been recommended by somebody, I guess. So, they were in the studio, and Keith put on the two-track master of Frozen Love, and said, okay, here's what the studio sounds like, here's what my work sounds like, you know, not trying to showcase us or anything, just wanting them to hear what his trip was. So Mick goes, oh, all right, makes a mental note of the song. You know.
This is when Bob Walsh, by the way,
was still in the group.
Was still in the group, yeah.
Okay? The timing, see, that's the whole thing. The timing was perfect. 3 days later, Bob Welch decides he wants to split. And Mick's going, oh, yeah, okay. So they called us up and said, you want to join? Just like that.
They didn't see us. We physically did not meet. They asked us right over the phone, and then we just left it. We went to dinner at Mick's house, and we left the entire decision because like you said, at that time, we had just gone in to do some cutting on Buckingham Nicks, so we were pretty excited about that at that time. So we just left the decision to meeting them, and then we just went and had dinner, and by the end of the Mexican food dinner, we were part of the group. It was as easy as that.
A lot of rapport happened immediately. There was a chemistry, I think, you know.
It was like planets colliding at the perfect...
Well, let me say,
Very cosmic.
I guess I'm still an outsider, but I can't see how people can't like you two people as persons. I mean, I have a lot of great interviews that we have done in the past, but you two seem like very warm people.
See, we haven't been, I mean, like in December, I was a waitress at Clementine's in Beverly Hills, you know.
A waitress?
A waitress, you know. December, I was still a waitress for 2 weeks after I joined Fleetwood Mac. So, you know, we haven't been in it long enough
to get cocky.
To get, you know, I mean, I can't see it happening because that has to be, I know what you mean, because I've met a lot of people that I could, if I never meet them again, it would be too soon, you know. I mean, then your life is pretty bummed out if you're such a on a pedestal type of a thing, you know, which a lot of people try to do.
Looking at it in retrospect, it is kind of good that we went through that whole experience with Buckingham Nicks, because I think we have a much greater understanding of just generally a lot of things about music and the music business, I should say. And I think it's a lot easier now to say handle whatever success we're having now. You know, it means a lot more to us because we did go through a lot of shit, you know. So,
being in Fleetwood Mac now, last night you did a few tunes that are from that Buckingham Nicks album. No, I believe at one point after the heavy rock sound was there, you went on stage, Lindsay, and did an acoustic number. Mm-hmm. Was that from
That's in the new one.
That's on the new
That's
album.
my song, though.
That is her song, Landslide.
Landslide, right. That is a new song that's on the Fleetwood Mac album.
Yeah.
To my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides. Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older.
What is a great asset to having Buckingham Nicks, I imagine, in Fleetwood Mac is the fact that it paces the show so much better. The sound of Fleetwood Mac has never been actually one specific sound, and with the addition of you, Stevie, and Lindsay, it's even more so of a diversified tight sound. And I think that is what's making Fleetwood Mac even that much more
You can have a lot of
successful.
variety.
Yeah.
Also more cohesive in the same way. I mean, if you look at, say, Bob Welch tunes and Christine McVie tunes, they're not
Very
that
different.
similar. It's like, and like the way they used to approach them in the studio, Bob Welch would definitely do his trip, you know, and he would do his own background vocals a lot of time, and Christine would totally do her trip. And now, I mean,
We're all singing.
there's a
on
little
everybody
more
else's.
cohesiveness on this last album. There will be on the next one even more, because the materials and the ideas there is more common ground between
But it
us.
was successful then. It was very successful, those Bob.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Bob
Definitely.
Welch, is it?
Welch.
Yeah,
Like
it-
Welchade.
This is the most successful album they've ever had as far as sales go.
You think
Yeah.
the die-hard Fleetwood Mac fans, and
Fans.
you can't say that they have a favorite Fleetwood sound because there have been so many sounds, they like it all, kind of are turned off maybe to
We wondered.
hearing Lindsay's voice coming through on Bob Welch sound?
I don't think so, but we did wonder that heavily in the beginning.
I think by the time, see, we're only doing one Bob. We tried to shy away from doing Bob Welch and stuff. The Peter Green things I can do, you know, because
There's
that's
a bond there and those
Bob
styles.
Welch. I couldn't even see myself singing a Bob Welch song really.
You did one, didn't you?
We did
Yeah.
Hypnotize. That was it.
That was it? That was the only one?
By the time we get through the end of the set, if the crowd is getting off on it, you know, we've won them over anyway. We did have a lot of reservations at first, you know, when we first went out. You know, we'd get people every once in a while go, "Where's Bob Welch?" You know, because we started to do.
He made it.
We did a few gigs. We did like a month worth of touring before the album came out, and people were really wondering what was going on then. But
What kind of feedback do you get?
now,
Yeah.
Excellent.
great. I mean, generally the concerts go very, very well. You know, everyone seems to know the new album and know.
Everybody's starting to like really applaud in at the beginning of songs that they recognize off of the new album now, which
A lot of people
really nice.
somehow now know who Stevie and I are from previous
You
things.
get those people like us saying,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, you know, it's like there's a lot more people out there who heard that album than we
than
realized.
we had any idea.
So I think generally, you know, there's no problems at all. We may have lost some diehard Bob Welch type fans,
We've gained a
but
lot
I
more.
think we've gained a broader based audience now, or we are gaining it. We are in the process of gaining it, I should say, because we're certainly not there yet, but we're working on
I
it.
think Fleetwood Mac are one of the few groups around today that are, I say that word a lot, diversified, but really you can't label their music. You really can't. They have so much of everything with the addition of you two. It makes it that much more, not confusing, because I think the people that listen to Fleetwood Mac, that's why they like them, because they know they're getting a dose of everything.
Yeah.
It is
Kitchen sink.
diversified, but I think as on the whole,
Yeah.
it is the most cohesive Fleetwood Mac there's ever been, though, because each one of us, I think, cares a little more about what the other person is writing, about what the other person is singing, than in the past. Like we said, Bob did his trips. Christine did hers. Everybody had their own little thing, which was nice, and it was great.
And it worked.
But in this band, everybody is trying. I mean, like me, instead of going, well, on Rhiannon, I'll go out and do all of my background
I was
vocals,
thinking
which I
about
could have done very easily. You know, I said, I want Chris to do them because I want her in there.
Great.
You know, And that is what makes for, instead of sort of being kind of selfish, going, well, I'd like to do that myself, you know. You share it.
From the Fleetwood Mac album, this is the Stevie Nicks song featuring the 2 female members. It's called Rhiannon. Just last night, seeing you at the Beacon, Sunday, October 26th, I guess it was, seeing 2 attractive females doing their music and not being stingy was a turn-on beyond belief. I tell you, Stevie, that's incredible. How, I don't know how to ask it, I really don't. Just the fact of seeing you 2 girls, and I'm not trying to say girls, women are different, but seeing you 2 getting the act together, like beyond belief. As Chris,
see, we don't have to compete, Chris and me, because Chris is playing keyboards, you know. She's playing keyboards very well. She's an integral part of the musical part of the group, you know. I can't compete with her on any level when it comes to what she's doing, you know. I get to be out in front, and you know, I'm more of a little, as Lindsay said, I tend to be almost a vaudevillian, you know. If I had a cane and tap shoes, you know, I get to do my thing, you know.
The hat there, and the black sensuous outfit.
It's, you know, it's like both of us, you know, we have our own things, but then, you know, we get to sing together. We have another female voice instead of always having to sing with a guy, you know. It's makes it for a lot more fun, you know.
How come we haven't seen this in the past, seeing 2 or more female vocalists in a rock?
I think that Chris and I just happened to become very good friends right away. That is what makes us able to work together, because if we didn't really like each other very much, or if we were jealous of each other, then there would be, you know, a little going on, you know. But because we're really good friends, with or without Fleetwood Mac, Christine and I will probably be very close for the rest of our lives, you know.
Spending the husband's money on clothes this week.
Oh, yes.
Also, I'm like, as far as having 2 chicks in a band and being able to just function within that format, perhaps one reason Fleetwood Mac has always been able to survive through all these changes is because none of the people, Mick, John, Christine, they're not on ego trips, you know? None of them are. They're all very, very down-to-earth people, which, I mean, I don't know that many people in rock and roll, but I would imagine that you wouldn't find that many people that are
that mellow,
as down-to-earth and as
for sure.
unpretentious as these guys are, you know? And that has given them longevity because they haven't been afraid to take in. They weren't afraid to take us into the group, you know. I mean, that's a pretty scary thing when you are used to a certain format and all of a sudden
you bring in a duo,
you know?
A male-female duo that is sort of countrified, really, you know, in comparison to their kind of jazz-oriented rock and roll with little haunty kind of things, you know.
They're very open-minded, you know.
Another thing that I think was really neat was when they did bring us into the group, they did not bring us in like, well, you guys, boy, are you lucky, you know. Wow, you better sit back and consider your good fortune. They brought us in on a totally equal basis. They said, you are now equal riders. You are, Stevie, you're right out there. I mean, for Chris, you know. Stevie, you're right out there in front. Okay, Lindsay, you're completely following in the steps of Peter Green and, you know, some very excellent guitar players. Here it is. Take it. You know, they never made us uncomfortable. They never made us feel like, boy, were we getting a good deal. You know, they were really, really made it really easy for us to go into a very big rock and roll group from us doing, you know, us laying around L.A. being miserable, you know.
What magic, and what magic is on the latest Fleetwood Mac album with the addition of Buckingham Nicks. It's a bad thing to say on the radio, being one that plays the records, but I must say it is one of the finest albums I come across. And thanks to Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, not as Billboard says,
really,
making the female Lindsey.
Me doing so well in my guitar.
Yes. Somebody, it's hilarious. Somebody came up to me after a concert and goes, "You guys are great, but I was so disappointed. I kept looking for the hot female lead guitar player." And I just had to laugh.
And he said, "Oh, no."
Yeah, well.
What can I say, but I thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck with the new project, being members of Fleetwood Mac. Mm-hmm. And
listen for the next album.
Yeah, well, Chris, I'm sure, would mention that about the new things that are coming down. It will be made in L.A. area?
January 14th.
Why don't I say L.A. area instead of Los Angeles?
Really?
We say L.A. too.
We say L.A.
It's just,
or else.
people used to, when I was from San Francisco, people used to say, from L.A. used to say, "Hey man, are you from Frisco?" And I'd go, "Don't call it that."
Everybody's trying to say I'm wrong. I just want to be back where I belong. World turning. I'm gonna get my feet back on the ground. World turning. Everybody's got me down. Maybe I'm wrong, but who's to say what's
A Christine McVie, Lindsey Buckingham song, World Turning, from Fleetwood Mac. Here are some final words and music from Chris and the group.
I think as far as everybody's concerned, this is the Fleetwood Mac. I mean, the only way it would change would be if anybody wanted to leave, you know. I mean, certainly no one would get dismissed, because this is, as far as we're all concerned, we're all really happy. You know?
How personally do you feel having an addition of a new female after you being, not the outstanding one, but being the one female doing great things with Fleetwood Mac, and then having more or less another person to cope with? Not that it's rough, because I hear from Stevie that you two get along beautifully.
Oh yeah, we
But
do.
what thoughts were running through your head in December or thereabouts when Buckingham Nicks joined up?
Well, as soon as we all met, there weren't any kind of apprehensions at all. I mean, the only apprehension, if any, that I had was whether we got on or not, you know. I mean, if it had turned into a kind of competitive thing where we were both trying to outdo each other all the time, then it would have been a drag, you know. Because I'm not a particularly competitive type of female anyhow, in the market in general, you know.
That's what makes you successful, because it's...
I just do what I do, and I like to be an integrated part of the band. I don't like to be, you know, Christine, I was saying to somebody else, you know, someone else was asking me, I would not get off on being a solo type performer, you know. I far prefer to be like a musician in a band, you know. And that's the way I like it.
Coming across, you think more females will take heed, and you'll see more of this happening in rock groups, so to speak. You think this will be more or less a trend, or it's not a trend with Fleetwood Mac, but do you think of this being a successful formula that will carry on with other musicians and groups?
I don't know. I really don't know, because it's generally not the girl in the band. It's what people push her into doing, you know. I mean, managers and such like, you know, oh, we, come on, you know, put the old hot pants on and go and jig around, you know, whatever. I mean, our ex-manager tried to get me to do that on several occasions. I said, forget it. I want to wear jeans on stage. I don't want to, you know, I just want to be a member of the band, you know.
Is it amazing seeing the group perform and seeing you, Chris, behind those keyboards? I mean, it is such a natural act when you are on stage. It's not any of that hot pants, let me get my chest out there and show them I'm female. But you come across so honestly, and I think by talking to John and the rest of the guys, that's what makes the group Fleetwood Mac work, that you don't have these hang-ups, and you go with the changes, and you live for today and not look back on tomorrow saying, we must get that earlier sound. You progress, and that's what our progressive music is about on our station. And that's what's about your latest album. There's no title to it, is it? It's Fleetwood Mac. It's
only in as much as it is Fleetwood and Mac. You know, there's a picture of Mick and John on the cover, which, you know. How
do you go about nowadays writing a song? How does it come to you? Because no joke, your writing is an amazing piece of work on an album. It's not like filler music like some groups might do.
I don't really know. How I tackle my songs is I usually, when I know that we're going to be recording, I'll kind of sit down and figure out what tempos I want, what feel. It's a question of feel, really. If a song feels good, and Mick and John are usually the best judges of things like that, you know, or at least they have been in the past. They're the ones that kind of go, yeah, I mean, because Over My Head was really nothing more than two chords and the actual basic rhythm track of that particular song, which is a single now, is was very, very bland, you know. And Mick said, oh, that's got a great feel, you want to do it, you know, do it. And I was going, I don't know if I like it very much, you know.
You can take me to paradise, and then again you can be cold as ice. I'm over my head. Oh, but it sure feels nice. You can take me anytime you like. I'll be around if you think you might love me, baby, and hold me tight.
The first single released from the Fleetwood Mac album, Chris McVie's Over My Head. And what is happening now with the new album? When will things be ready? You live on the West Coast now.
Yeah.
So that's where it's being produced.
Yeah.
What's going down with the new album?
Well, nothing right now. This is the 17 days that we have off.
Rest.
It's going to be rest, but it's also, we're going to have our equipment set up.
Criteria?
In a house. And, it's going to be a question of just sitting around by the pool or doing whatever we want to do, but probably in the evening we'll just sit around and write and just try and get some stuff together for the new album.
So it's non-stop. People think glamorous. You're at the Beacon Theatre and you get the money and run, but it's not that easy if the music...
Let me tell you, anybody that thinks that show business is glamorous is suffering from great delusions, because it just simply is not true. I mean, there are moments of obvious glamour when you're like in front of the spotlights and, you know, but they don't know. You might have a migraine for all they know. You know, I mean, it's,
how you feel today.
You know, it's really is not that glamorous. On the other hand, I would never change it for the world.
That's what makes true musicians. And lastly, wrap things up, L.A. How do you like the transition from Mother Nature Land, England, to Los Angeles?
To start with, I was the only one, I think, that didn't want to go.
Crybaby.
Crybaby. Crybaby. But, because I like England, and I, you know, my family's over there and everything. I really didn't want to move, you know, to make such a drastic move, to live so far away from England. But now that we've been there for like 18 months, I love it. We've got a lot of friends there, and I love the climate there. I mean, not the pollution, but well, we're up in Topanga Canyon, so it really is very pretty up there.
Do you write your relatives much?
Not as much as I should. They write to me more than I write to them. But it's just a question of time, you know.
I know you're very tired, and the group as a whole are relaxing, getting ready for 17 days of fun and sun, and writing for a new album. We wish you the best with the new album, with the album that is out now, and with the dates that you have. I believe you're still on tour until December, aren't you?
Yeah, December 16th. They'll be carrying us back on stretchers by then.
The best of luck to you.
Thanks, Ken, and WCWP.
Thank you.
Sleep easy by my side. Into gentle slumber you can hide. I'm waiting for the sun to come up. I can't sleep with your warm waves. Forever, forever love. Together, together
Warm Ways, Fleetwood Mac on Star Tracer 75. Tonight's special program was produced by Ken Franklin for WCWP, Brookville, New York.
Snow,